This is Dirshu Mishnah Berurah, Simin Yud Dalid, Sif Aleph and Beis. And again, all the learning for the rest of this month has been generously sponsored by a close friend of the Daf, Zecher Nishmas, his father, Chaim Mordechai ben Naftali Tzvi. Actually, the whole family is Zecher Nishmas Chaim Mordechai ben Naftali Tzvi. The second yard site is coming up on Chav Zayin Nisan. Amir Hashem, the learning of the entire Chabura every day, every halacha should bring Chaim Mordechai ben Naftali Tzvi to an higher in place, closer to the Kisei HaKavod in Gan Eden Shalmaila, and it should be a source of nachama for the entire family. And today we begin Simin Yud Dalet, a great opportunity to invite a friend. Everyone has been commenting how enjoyable the learning of halacha is. A few halachas every day, Friday and Shabbos to Chazer to catch up. Let's get to it. Simin Yud Dalet, coined by Rabbi Yosef Kair the Mechaber himself, the DNA Tzitzis Shazayin Yudi V'Nashim V'Tal She'ula. The halachas of the Tzitzis that are created by a guy or a woman, and the halachas of Tal She'ula. So the beginning is going to be the halachas today at Sefalef and Beis, are the halachas of tzitzis that are created by a guy and a woman. And of course, this really piggybacks off of that which we learned back in the Simin Yud Aleph, which there we learned about the guy or the woman twisting the strings, creating the strings, whether the lishma, etc. or not. And now we talk about creating the tzitzis, which of course the creating the tzitzis refers to taking the strings, putting it into the hole in the baguette, tying that first knot, doing those first few coils, as we will see. Says the Machaber, Sefalif, tzitzis shasana Yehudi pasel. If the guy creates tzitzis, they are pasel. Why? Daber el b'nei Yisrael afukei Yehudi. Daber el b'nei Yisrael. A pasuk we see in Grishma many times a day. That comes to exclude a guy. But a woman is allowed. Says the Ramav, Yish machmir nasir chanashim nasir oisan. Now those that are machmir, to have men create the tzitzis. V'toiv la'asais kein lechatchila. And it's good. Lechatchila, men should make the tzitzis. B'diavad, a woman could make the tzitzis. If a guy does, it is possible. Says Mishnah Berurah, Sivkat and Aleph Sha'asan Pirush Etilam Bebagit. What does it mean, Asan, as we pointed out? Says the Mishnah Berurah, this means that you're taking the strings, you're putting in the hole, and you're creating the tzitzis, and as you're creating the tzitzis themselves. Says Mishnah Berurah, this is not like we learned previously. It's a problem with lishma. A Jew could be standing there telling him the whole time, the shame, it says tzitzis. It doesn't help. Even though we've seen previously, if the strings were spun, if they were intertwined by a guy, and Yisrael is standing there telling him the shame, it says tzitzis, the rush holds its kasher. That's only over there. But over here, when it comes to creating the tzitzis, it's possible. But says Mishnah Berurah, this is only when the guy makes that first knot or those first coils. A Jew, a Yid, started making the tzitzis. He made the first knot, he made the first coils. And then then the guy finished the rest, which is not ma'akiv, kosher, then it would be kosher. It says the Ramah, we want men to do it. Even a man telling a woman the whole time, it does not help. B'nei Yisrael v'asu. Mashmagam ma'ayit. B'nei Yisrael comes to exclude girls. She asked Oisam, v'dalka taliyah ba'abeg, is talking about the hanging it on the garment. Aval atviyah v'ashizira. Mota idei nashim, as we've seen previously back in Simin Yod Aleph, that the taviyah and the shazira, the spinning and the twining of the strings, that could be done by a girl. Said the Ramah, v'toiv la'asais, it's good to do it by a man. Sivkat and Dalet of the Mishnah Berurah. V'chein roi v'nachash olas l'chatchila talis hatolas atis beged shel gadol aydei katan. Says Mishnah Berurah, let's point out another halach. That it's a nacha and it's correct that lechatchila, the placement of the tzitzis should not be done for a gadol, for an adult, by a katan less than 13 years old. And this is very, very nageya. Often you'll have a father wanting to make tzitzis with his son, and beautiful, the kid will be so excited, he'll make his own, he'll make one for the father. Says the Mishnah Berurah, the kid can make for himself, as we'll see. But for the child to make for the father is not correct, because it's different levels of obligation. If the kid's already 13 years at one day, which we know is a bit of a suffix if he's a din of a gadol midaraisa, because he did not bring shtei cyrus, doesn't have two pubic hairs. I feel lechatchila in lahachmir, but once he's 13 years old, then even lechatchila it's fine. I feel lechatchila they cotton. He says okay, they cotton. But even when the Artzis Chaim is lenient to allow a child to make the tzitzis for you, that is only if the gadol is standing there and telling him to do lishma. If the kid already made it for you, you have to do it again. It's allowed even if the Yisrael is not standing on top of him. The child is neman to say, not the child. This is going on the woman, not the child. The child, we just said a moment ago, is not good b'diavad. But a woman b'diavad says the Mishnah Berurah is okay, as long as she says that she did it for the right purposes. Says the Machaber Sefer Beis, Hitel Yisrael Tzitzis bebeg beloy kavan. A Yisrael put the tzitzis on the bag without kavan. And may not tzitzis acherim b'tyon lachshiroi. If you don't have anything else, yesh lismaich al. You could be saimech on Harambam shemachshir avalo yivarich alav. You could be tzairech on the Rambam, but do not make a bracha on those tzitzis. Says the Mishnah Berurah over here, Sivkatan vav beloy kavana yisrael with the tzitzis kavana ratzalemer. Says the Mishnah Berurah, what does that mean? Shasa ketchera elyoin shehu midaraisa bli kavana. We keep on seeing the same detail. That first knot, that first string, that is the daraisa. If you do that, that is an issue. If you do without kavan, if you do the first one with a knot, you do the first one with kavana. You do the rest without intent. Then you could be machshir that, even if you could get other tzitzis. So it's important that first knot, make sure to have kavana. You should make sure the whole thing is kavana. But b'diavad, the point is you have to ensure that at least that first knot is always bekavana, similar to what we saw, that if a guy makes it after you make that first knot, it's okay. That first knot is critical and crucial. We said, but let's see if nothing else, then you can be making like the Rambam. It says Mishnah Berurah Sekot and Zayin al Rambam Shamachshar Afilu Masa Atliya V'Gam Al Kol Ksharim V'Achoyis Lo Kavana. You did everything without Kavana. This Vir Alei the Rambam holds Avagav the Bay Tvil Lishma. Even though you have to spin it lishma, the Rambam holds the hanging of the tzitzis don't have to be lishma. How does he know this? He says the Rambam. The Torah just says it has to be done by a yid, but doesn't say anything about kavana. So says the Rambam, if it's done without kavana, it's still kosher. So we can be semich on the Rambam b'diavad to wear the tzitzis. Don't say yatir me'abegad v'yas v'inay b'kavana l'shem tzitzis. But wait, why don't you just put it back on? You don't have time to do it. Of course, that is the lechatchila. Take off the tzitzis and put them back on, and then you can make a bracha on them. But if you don't have time, you can wear this beged on Shabbos. Or one of them tore off, and therefore you're not able. And if you tie it on, you will not be able to put it back on the beged. But says the Mishnah Berurah, but you're not going to make a bracha on this beged. Afilu im loy asa rak hatchiva bekenav shaloi lishma. Again, seeing how important is that first knot, and now the Mishnah Berurah goes a bit deeper. The first pushing in, you take those strings, and the first putting it through that hole, the tchiva, the pushing it through the kanaf. If you do that without kavana, the kol shekein amasakesh alyon shaloi lishma. The Rashi, the Rosh, the Tzitzis, Virlu Dvina Midaraisa Gam Kitzli Lishma. They hold that the Raisa you need to have kavana. Ukra Demira Bid Galivin. What do they do with the Rambam? The Rambam said the pasuk just says Bnei Yisrael, excluding a guy. It doesn't say anything about Lishma. Ukra Demira Bid Galim Sarach Afil Yisrael Aimir Al Gabim Melandei Lishma. They learn it means Yisrael has to be there telling them it's Lishma. Al Kain Sarach Lizar Lechatchila Kodim Atzliya Babeged Tzitzis Bisfasav Beferish. Very important when you're making tzitzis. When before you put those strings in, what should you say? Shetoyle Kol Tzitzis L'Shem Tzitzis. Let's take one moment over here and look at Dirshu note number 14, which, yes, we do have. Says the Dirshu, and that is as well the Lush of the Shulchan Aruch we saw before in Taminat Aleph, with regard to the Tviyah, that you should say L'shei mitzvahs. And here we are on Pesach, so how can we not quote something from Hilchas Pesach, Taf Pei Beis? And so to buy Hilchas Matzah, you should say, Oisel L'shei mitzvahs, and the Chazon Ish said L'shei mitzvahs Tzitzis, which of course we know, and all the Matzah fact is L'shei mitzvahs Matzah. So to buy Tzitzis, before you begin making your Tzitzis, L'shei mitzvahs Tzitzis. We'll pick it up from here the next year. B'siyata d'shmaya.